are hired as a content writer for a company or you have a client, you may be asked to write a press release. It's very possible. It's been asked of me as a writer for a few companies that I've worked for. So in case that happens to you, I want you to be prepared and write that press release with confidence. So we are going to talk about what a press release is today, how to prepare for it, how to conduct the interview, how to write for it. So let's get started. Welcome to Robin Writers, where we talk about all things content writing and marketing. My name is Becca, and today we are talking about the press release. But before we get into that, I wanted to tell you about the free guide that I have for you. You know, if it's been about 6 months or so since you've updated your writing portfolio, this is the time to do it. And my guide will walk you through exactly all the different types of writing samples that you can add to your portfolio to give it that boost it needs. So you can access the guide on the description below, and I hope that helps you. All right, so let's get into it. So a press release is basically like a mini news article that you're gonna write. It's gonna be about a page long, nothing super lengthy or anything, but it's basically going to make an announcement, a special announcement of the company or the client you work for. And when you submit it through a release service or share it with the local news organizations, you just hope that the press will pick it up and either publish your press release or contact the people within your press release to write their own story about it. So that's basically the gist of your press release. So if you're familiar with news writing, this will be kind of similar. If not, no worries. I'm going to show you how to do it, and it's going to be great. So first, how do you prepare for the press release? So the most important thing is just to define exactly what you're announcing. You want to know exactly what it is, exactly who the audience is, which is most likely the normal audience that you have, and then the people who are involved that you will be interviewing or providing quotes from. So once you have those down, it is time to schedule your interviews. So I actually love interviews. I think they're really fun, and I'm going to walk you through exactly how to prepare them and conduct them. So first you want to gather your questions. You always want to be prepared with questions, even though the people you might be talking to might already kind of know, what to say about the topic and the announcement. You always want to come prepared with some questions. So just kind of, for me, it's always the who, what, where, when, why, how. Those are always good. That hit kind of every angle of whatever you're announcing. And then if you know specific questions about the announcement, like numbers or any stats or anything like that, that's good to include. You'll definitely want to ask about those or just confirm those details. You might want to ask bigger questions like, what does it mean for the company? And what does this mean where the company is heading to? And kind of those bigger questions too, or the bigger impact it's making to the community or to the audience. You kind of want to get the full picture that way too. So keep those in mind. But you always want to come prepared with some questions just to make sure the conversation goes well and you'll get all your information. So besides your questions, you'll also want to have something to take your notes on and also something that can record the interview. Unless it's a phone interview, that can be, I guess, a little trickier unless you put them on speakerphone and have the conversation recorded. But if it's an in-person interview or a video call, I always like to record the interview. I think I've just always used my cell phone. Any smartphone will have a voice recorder app in it. And, that way I can focus more on the conversation and less on trying to write down, hurriedly all the good quotes that they are saying. And sometimes it's harder to get longer quotes, and, you might have to ask them to repeat what they say if you're not able to record it. But I just always like to record the conversation. So when you are finally with the person you're interviewing, you'll want to ask them if it's okay to record the interview, which I've never been told that it wasn't, so I don't think you'll have any problems there. But once you hit the record button, I always like to say, okay, it's recording, just so we have it on the record that it's being recorded, the person consents to that, and we're clear that this conversation is being recorded, just kind of a safety. I've never had anything crazy happen because someone all of a sudden didn't want to be recorded afterwards. Just always safer to go that route. So once you hit record, you want to get into your questions. And one thing about the questions is you definitely want to make sure that you ask more questions that are open-ended and less like yes or no questions. And a lot of times you might be searching for a specific answer or a specific quote, and it can be kind of hard if, I've had it before where the person I'm interviewing might be giving really brief answers, or kind of yes or no, or, just not really giving me a lot to work with. So, with practice, you'll kind of see, if there's an answer that you're looking for specifically, it's all about asking the right question to get what you're looking for. So with time, with practice, that will come, but kind of think about it like if you're really not getting somewhere with someone, not getting a lot of information out of them, just think about, tap into the journalist within you and kind of think about the answer you're trying to get and the quote you're trying to get, and ask the right questions. That's kind of the trick there. And it's never a bad idea too, if you've never interviewed anyone before and you're really intimidated by it. I mean, for me, I would feel like, interviewing a family member or a friend or someone beforehand might really work for you. So if that might calm your nerves a little bit, then I would suggest doing that, just so you can just be more confident. All right, so you are done with the interview and it is time to write this press release. Now keep in mind, the press release is only going to be about a page or so. I think the longest one I've done is like a page and a half. So don't stress about making it long. This is just going to be something that gets to the point, gets the important information across, and leaves enough impact to hopefully get picked up by other news sources. But it really doesn't have to be long. So keep that in mind as you're drafting the first draft. And then speaking of first drafts, I love talking about first drafts. I have a video all about it, and I'll link that down below. But basically, you want to just get words on the page. This can be, and especially if you haven't really written press releases before, it can be kind of just more difficult maybe because you want to make sure that you're doing it right. But just keep in mind, don't judge yourself. Don't worry about if it sounds bad. This first draft is just for you. No one else has to see it. After you revise it, then, other people can read it. But as far as this first draft goes, it's just for you. Your eyes. Just get the main information, the main points out on the page, and you'll do great. So as far as the format goes for the press release, I actually have a template that you can use. So if you're watching this directly on YouTube, follow the link in the description to the blog post that goes with this video, and you'll see the template there. Or if you're in my blog right now watching this, the template is within the blog post. So that's totally for you. But basically, we're gonna have the headline, and that's gonna be like a title. It doesn't have to be anything clever. This is not like trying to be super like clever, or it can just be straight to the point. It can be as simple as like X company hires a new chief marketing officer, X company develops a new service team. Like super simple, just to get the point across, right? So after your headline, you're gonna have the city and state line. So a lot of times you'll see before like a news article, it'll say whatever city you're in or the surrounding city. So it could say, Philadelphia, PA, and then with like an M dash basically, or like a dash, and then the article begins. So you want to have the city, or the city and the state that this story is occurring in. And then you want to have your little intro, and this can be super brief, a little hook, a little intro into what it is, the exact announcement, and just any like super pertinent details. So you'll kind of want to think of it as like a pyramid, so an inverted pyramid. So all the like major information is up at the top, and then you kind of work your way down to not the least important information, but just like the least specific to the story, or the least like impactful. So just all the really important information is going to be up at the top. Think of it that way. So if someone doesn't finish the whole article, what do you want them to read in the first like 2 paragraphs? What's the most important information, and then kind of work your way down from there. And then after that, so depending on how many people you interviewed, so let's just say you interviewed one person, right? So after the intro, brief intro, a few lines, you're gonna want to have a quote from that. This is how I do it. I think it has like a really good balance of the quotes and the information, how it all kind of intertwines together. So you're gonna want a quote from that person, then information maybe about a new topic, and then a quote about what you just wrote, and then more information, and then a quote about what you just wrote before that, and more information. So I kind of go like quote, info, and that seems to be a pretty good cadence. So then after all your quotes and information, You'll want the conclusion, so it just is kind of a nice way to end the press release, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like, in summary, X company hired a new CEO, and it doesn't have to be like a cookie cutter, end of an essay kind of a conclusion. And I'll have an example of a press release in the description or within my blog post as well, just to give you an idea of what a press release might look like. But you'll want to have some kind of conclusion. You don't want to just kind of leave people hanging. Sometimes I've actually ended the press release with a quote. If it's a good quote on, kind of reflecting on the company or the big announcement and where things are headed, if you get a good quote like that, that can definitely serve as a good concluding piece. So underneath the conclusion, you'll also want to include a boilerplate. This is kind of a brief paragraph explaining what the company is. So if no one has heard of the company before, then this paragraph will explain just that. You'll also want media contact information. So once you submit it, if someone wants it and they want to pick it up, then they'll know who to contact if they want more information or if they want to conduct an interview. And just as a side note too, as you're revising your press release and working on it, keep in mind again that this press release is only going to be about one page, maybe a little bit more than a page, like 250, 300 words, 400 words maybe. Nothing like a detailed, long news article. This is just something to kind of make the announcement and to catch people's attention. So again, don't be hung up on making it really long or making it really deep, going into all the detail. You want to just give the super important facts. All right, so now once you get the approval and the sign off on whoever needs to look at it before you publish it, now it is time to actually publish it or submit it. And I've actually done this two ways. I've done it DIY and manually, directly, personally contacting local news sources, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I've also used a release service. So with the first option, that is literally just researching the news organizations in your area, finding contact information for them, and emailing them a press release so that hopefully the reporters and the press will see it, and hopefully they will pick it up and publish it in their publication. That is basically all it is. It's just manually finding people. And then the second is the press release service. And I have used that where it's basically a website. When you submit it, it's sent nationwide, hitting different markets, hitting different audiences, and all different. It really tailors exactly who is going to see the press release for you, and it sends it out to hundreds and hundreds of different news organizations to pick up. So if you can work with something like this, that's awesome too. I've used PR Newswire, and it's super easy, super simple. You tell them exactly who you want to see the press release basically, and it's worked really well. We've had really great visibility. That's been a key. So if you have a release service that you can use, then that is perfect. So this might be a very different type of writing that you're not really used to if you're used to social media and blog posts and everything, but I actually really love press releases. I think it's just something different to kind of jazz things up a little bit to my day, and I think it's really fun because these are pieces that you really get to talk to different people, and it's just like a different process with the interview, and I just enjoy them. So with more practice, I'm sure you'll be great at them. Have an open mind, just get all the information, get the story. The one thing that is similar is that whatever we're writing, it's always telling a story with marketing. So this is very similar probably to what you do normally. It's just kind of a different format. So just keep in mind that you're just trying to get a story out. You're just trying to get to the meat of it, the main ideas of the story, and just to make an impact. So hopefully your story will get picked up and your company will gain some visibility. So good luck. If you have any questions, let me know. You can email me at robinwriterscareers@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. But also don't forget about the free guide that I have for you. I'd love to have your writing portfolio in top shape this year. So take a look at my guide down below. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fabulous day.